there can only be one winner. Welcome guys, welcome to the Rock Turtle YouTube channel, or welcome back if you've been with us before. Either way, it's great to have you here, okay? And thank you for joining me. You've seen the title of this video, you know why you've clicked on here. Today we're going to answer the question, who will win the Premier League? Okay, most people would agree there are really three names that are in the mix at the moment who kind of have any chance at all. They're going to be Arsenal, Liverpool, and Manchester City. In alphabetical order, okay? And we're going to go through them in that order, okay? Right, let's start with Arsenal. What is Arsenal's biggest strength going into this season? I think everyone would agree it's the squad depth, right? Surely the squad depth. There was a kind of a big talking point, kind of just as the season started, about the fact that they can pretty much put two 11s together, right? Two quality starting 11s separate from each other. And that's a massive asset for them. And to be fair, that said, it's not looking too good at the moment, is it, right? They're having some troubles in attack. They have their three strikers, right? Gabriel Jesus, Havertz, and Victor Gyökeres. All three of them were injured for the Sunderland game, potentially in the Champions League as well. They've also had injuries to Martinelli, Madueke, both of those out at the moment. And of course their captain and probably main source of creativity in Martin Odegaard, okay? Doesn't matter who you are, whatever team you're looking at, those are massive losses, okay? To have five probably of your seven attackers all down, and then your captain and kind of main attacking midfielder, your main creator, right, in Martin Odegaard. Say what you will about Martin Odegaard's form over the past couple of years, he's not been at his best for Arsenal probably since their first title charge in 22-23. Say what you will about his form, he is still someone they rely on massively, right, to be creative. And I think we saw it in that Newcastle game that Arsenal played, where Martin Odegaard came on and changed the game, and arguably kind of made that difference to win Arsenal that game. And that was one that a lot of people looked at and said, wow, maybe Arsenal really can challenge this year, right? Sorry, I'm playing with my hair a lot. It's just a habit. So yeah, I think their squad depth is great for them, but they have had injuries. And this has become a consistent issue at Arsenal, right? There's theories that what's going on in that medical room, because players just can't seem to get fit for sustained periods of time. If they do get fit, they're going to be injured, later down the line. It's sometimes, a lot of it is the same injuries coming up over and over, whether this is new players joining the club, right? You look at Madueke, Gyökeres, they're getting these injuries. Or it's players that have been here for years, right? Saka, Odegaard, consistently getting injured every season. And that's something that just does take a toll. And I think you saw that in the Sunderland game, right? Now, whether you want to say it's because of one player or another, I think just in general, having that many players out and missing, of course, Arsenal went on a brilliant kind of winning spree for, it was something like 10 games, right? It was a crazy run, so fair play to them. They weren't conceding goals in that time, like, at all, let alone, well, they weren't even conceding shots on target, right? Let alone goals. So they kind of went on that run, and I think that Sunderland game was just one step too far. They just couldn't quite, you can't show up to the Stadium of Light, right, against one of the best teams this year, right? Yeah, which has to be said at this point, in Sunderland, and just expect to play Mikel Merino up front and come away with 3 points, right? It doesn't quite work like that. That being said, they were winning very late on and conceded a late goal, which is not really, that's something we really don't associate with Arsenal at the moment, right? Them conceding late, it's usually them scoring late, if anything. So I think that was an interesting one. What's working against them then? Okay, we've said that squad depth is their biggest strength. I'd say their biggest weakness. Some people will say this is a non-issue, but I have to bring up the fact that they haven't won anything. This group of players, this, dare I say, dynasty that Mikel Arteta has built over the past 5 seasons, hasn't produced any silverware. Okay, Arteta came in, I think in late 2019, right, and went on to kind of take the team to an FA Cup, where that seemed impressive at the time. You know, of course, he had the likes of Aubameyang in the team to kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting. And you know, he got that done to kind of show the board, look, I know how to win stuff, so you should invest in me. Therefore, they did invest in him, and since then it has been a dry spell. Okay, I'm talking arid. I'm talking like the dunes on Arrakis, right? That's how dusty it's been for Arsenal in that trophy cabinet. Okay, they can talk about their community shields. I don't think anyone's fussed about that. And to be honest, probably neither are they if they're a proud Arsenal fan. They want the real trophies. They want the big stuff. And we've seen, I think, a consistent habit from Mikel Arteta over the past few seasons since they were able to push for a title, where he has constantly shown a lack of regard for the domestic cups, right? The FA Cup and the Carabao Cup. He just constantly gets dumped out of them early. It's been a consistent issue. It looks this year like he potentially actually cares about those trophies and has realised, oh God, yeah, we can't just try and win the big stuff every year and then fail all the time. Maybe we've got to care about the, dare I say, smaller trophies, right? They're still really important. And, you know, yeah, then it's not exactly something to sniff at. You know, if you're an Arsenal fan who hasn't won anything in 5 years, I think you'd take it. But yeah, I think that could be their biggest weakness. And I don't want to, I say I don't want to. The word bottle, of course, is going to be thrown around. And it even was, I even saw it in titles of videos, in thumbnails, are Arsenal bottling it already after the Sunderland game? Which is absolutely ludicrous, right? I think it's easy to kind of go for those clicks, and fair enough. Maybe one day, if I'm in that position, I will too. Who knows? I hope I don't succumb to that kind of clickbaity behaviour. But you know, if there is some truth to it, I think that's pretty crazy that people are trying to say Arsenal are bottling it already. It's just one game, and to go on such a big winning spree with the attacking injuries they had, I think you've got to give them some credit. I think, of course, to lose it late on in the game like that, to kind of a pretty poorly defended goal, that one scored by Brian Brobby. So that didn't look great for Arsenal, but I think to say they're bottling it is a bit far. That being said, this team hasn't won trophies together yet. They just haven't done it. And of course, for any group of players, there is going to be a first time that they win trophies, right? For Newcastle and Palace last season, those groups hadn't won any silverware together, but they got it done because they had the passion and the drive to kind of get over the line, right? And they had the players, dare I say, a bit of luck, right? Everyone needs that in football. And yeah, it's something. It's certainly become I think a big mental hurdle for Arteta and the players, that just kind of looking on paper and saying, wow, we really haven't won anything. We've been so good and we've got on our hands on absolutely nothing. So I think that is something they need to get over. Okay, let's shelve Arsenal for now, and let's go on to Liverpool. Liverpool, what is their biggest strength? And I think, to put it simply, it's sheer horsepower, right? I mean, the names that they have got in that team, for whether you're talking about goal scoring or even just all over the field, really. I mean, goal scoring alone, to have Alexander Isak, who some people feel was potentially the best striker in the league last year. Mo Salah, who was the best player in the league last year. Hugo Ekitike, a signing who's come in and would start for pretty much any Premier League team, and he's on the bench behind Isak. You've got Cody Gakpo. You've got Chiesa. Okay, there are just so many names. Dare I say as well, Florian Wirtz, right? They just have such brute force when it comes to attacking players that it is terrifying to kind of look at them and go, wow, we've got to play that. Excuse me. And I think the only thing that's let them down so far has been tactical issues, right? And if anything, that biggest strength of theirs, that sheer horsepower, has kind of eaten them up. That's kind of been their biggest weakness as well. Arne Slot has struggled to integrate these new players. Okay, you look at Isak, you look at Florian Wirtz, as well as Kerkez, Frimpong. These guys not making the big impact that I think fans and, well, basically anyone looking at Liverpool hoped they would make and expected they would, really. You know, these are big names coming in. And I think it's just kind of been maybe biting off more than you can chew. And that's not me saying that it'll never work. I think they will get it eventually. It might take a season or two, but I think they will start to click, whether that's selling the odd player here and there to kind of make room for these new signings. But again, as I was saying, even beyond the attack, they've got, you know, Dominic Szoboszlai, Ryan Gravenberch, McAllister, Van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk, right? Arguably, for many people, would be the best centre-back in the world, and they've got him there. They've also probably, when fit, got the best goalkeeper in the world in Alisson. I know there's Courtois and David Raya, Donnarumma if you want, but probably Alisson at his best fit is the best goalkeeper in the world, and he plays for Liverpool, or he should do. He's injured at the moment, and I think that's hurt them in recent weeks, right? Of course, they've been on kind of a terrible run of just losing constantly, which is terrible for them. Obviously, like mathematically, that's terrible for them progressing in the league, not picking up points every week, but also mentally, that's gonna just hammer them, right? To just think, God, we're losing every week. Maybe we just can't do it. And sometimes when you get in that vicious cycle, it can be really hard to break. But that being said, the kind of the big what if question around Liverpool is, what if they can get it to work, right? That's pretty scary. What if they do get it ticking? If Arne Slot can figure out a way to have this team, you know, work cohesively as a direct threat to the teams they come up against, and just be able to punish and punish and punish because they've got the players for it, then they're going to be extremely dangerous. And touch wood, right? But I think Liverpool could easily go on a winning run, right? Second half of the season, if they were to just start picking up wins every week, excuse me, I kind of wouldn't be surprised because they've got the players for it, right? Alexander Isak is a world-class striker. That's not up for debate. And he's sitting there at the moment with 0 Premier League goals. I mean, what, is he just going to not... is he just going to not score for Liverpool this season? I don't think so, right? Surely he's going to make a massive splash in the Premier League when he gets up to it, right? But that's the thing, is can they get it ticking? Can they get it to work? Can all these pieces fit together? They've got AFCON coming up. That will force Salah out of the team, obviously, because he's going to be at that tournament. Maybe that's a break and kind of a slot opening up, no pun intended, but a slot opening up in the team for other players to kind of break in, make an impact, and for Arne Slot to kind of try and figure things out, because it's not looking good for them at the moment. Speaking of Salah, is it over for him? And I asked that as a question. I don't by any means wish bad on Salah, right? But I think we have to ask that question. It's been a significant amount of games in the season now, and Mo Salah just still doesn't look at his best. He's really struggling. I think in recent weeks there's been a couple of good performances. Ever since actually he got that really nice goal against Brentford, I think he's picked up a little bit, but still we're not seeing the numbers that we expect from him. And of course Liverpool have still struggled with a couple of results, so clearly they're not feeling that impact from one of their leading men, arguably their leading man, if it's not Virgil van Dijk, right? So yeah, I think that's tough for Liverpool. Sorry, apologies there. yeah, right. Let's draw a line under that and finally talk about Manchester City. Okay, and in terms of their biggest strength, it's one word, isn't it? You know what word I'm going to use. Haaland. Erling Braut Haaland. Okay, I mean, this guy is a machine. I don't think it's overstating it to say that he is a goal scorer, the likes of which we have never seen in the Premier League. Quite literally, we have never seen a player enter this league and put up the numbers he's putting up. Is he set to hit 100 Premier League goals this season? I'm tempted to say he is, right? In his fourth season, because it's his fourth season. He's been scoring like 25, 30 every year. He must be close. He can't be far off of 100 Premier League goals, and that is mental. Okay, he's probably going to do it in less games, right? In less than 100 games. And that's my only answer for what is City's biggest strength, because I think he's enough. I think on his own he is enough for Manchester City to be a threat to the Premier League this year. And we're already seeing that, right? There was a run they went on where I think it was something like their last 7 or 8, maybe 9 goals in the Premier League had all been scored by Erling Haaland. He was just on a ridiculous run. He's still scoring now. They've had a couple other players chip in some goals in recent weeks, but that's a big thing they need to figure out is, okay, what if Haaland isn't on the pitch? Can we still be dangerous? I mean, again, touch wood, not wishing anything bad on Haaland, but he could get injured, right? Every footballer gets injured. That's just a part of the game. If Haaland goes down injured, City are gonna struggle. And of course he might not be injured. You know, that might not happen for him. Maybe he goes the whole season fit. But I think beyond that, right, City this season, you look at their team, I kind of had a moment where I looked and I went, what's happened? Like, where is everyone? That was the question I found myself asking. Where is everyone? You know, you're thinking of like Rodri, De Bruyne, right? Riyad Mahrez, Gundogan at his best, Stones, Diaz, like, I don't know, Akanji, Nathan Ake, Edison, whoever it is, you know, I think mentally I'm still in 2023. I'm still in that treble winning team of City where they just had pretty much world-class players in every single position. And I look at them now and I just think, what's happened? They've gone under so much rebuilding in the past 2 seasons. Of course, De Bruyne has left the club. I think Gundogan left, right? I don't think he's there because he came back, but I think he's gone again now. I might be wrong on that. I know they've still got Bernardo Silva, but Rodri is also a big miss, right? Rodri's had serious injury issues ever since they were playing Arsenal, weren't they? Man City when Rodri went down with an ACL last season, and I think that was last season anyway. And of course, he was out for a long time, came back, he's got injured again, and now, you know, he's still struggling to get up to fitness, and which is a real shame because, hot take of mine, I think Rodri deserved the Ballon d'Or in 2024. Some people really hate to hear that, but I personally do believe that Rodri was the best player. I think he was the best football player in the world in that season, right? Winning the league with Manchester City, winning the Euros with Spain, I think he deserved it. And I don't care what name you bring to me, I think Rodri deserved it. I think he was the best in the world. So it's such a shame. For me personally, I thought he was so good. I find it a real shame that he's not playing. I say me personally, right? It's not about me, his injury. I know, of course, it's more sad for him and whatever. But yeah, it is a shame to just see such a great player have a fall off, and you kind of hope that he's going to get back to his best. But yeah, so I think that's the situation with Man City, right? They've got Haaland. Donnarumma's pretty good, right? He's pretty good. Phil Foden? What's happening with Phil Foden, right? I think it looks at the moment. You know what happened? Phil Foden got that haircut. He's got a new haircut this season. The kind of curly. I really like it. I really like his haircut. As soon as he had it, I was like, yeah, this guy's ready to ball out. He kind of can't quite decide at the moment if he wants to have a great season or if he kind of wants to have another forgettable one, sorry. So I think there are still some question marks over Foden, but I think definitely there's enough quality there for City to challenge for a title, especially if you bring up the likes of Jeremy Doku, right? Who else is starting for them, right? Nico Gonzalez, he's in good form. Of course, there are the likes of Bernardo Silva, Ruben Dias, who have been in this team for a while. They know how to win titles. They're familiar with Pep's system. And that's the last point I'm going to come to, actually, is Pep Guardiola. If there's one thing that we've all learned from watching the Premier League over the last 10 years, surely it's don't bet against Pep Guardiola. Guardiola? Do not bet against Pep Guardiola. This guy is probably the best to ever do it, right? In terms of managers, not just in the Premier League, but ever. If he isn't already, he may just genuinely go down as the greatest of all time when he's finished. This guy, he shows up into a league. He makes whatever team he's at in that league, the best team in that league. They'll probably go on to win a treble. He changes the entire dynamic of the league. Everyone starts copying him. That league then becomes the dominant league in world football. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous the impact he has wherever he goes. And again, if there's one thing you shouldn't do, it's bet against Pep Guardiola. Why do I keep saying that? Guardiola. It's Guardiola. There we go. If there's one thing we shouldn't do, it's bet against Pep Guardiola to win the Premier League title. Okay, that kind of draws to a close the main points I wanted to get across with each team. But of course, we can talk about what's on paper. We can talk about the stats, the facts and figures. What's my opinion? What do I think is going to happen? And if you're asking me honestly, I'm going to put it to you like this. I think there might be a lot of people that agree with me when I say Liverpool are just a little bit too far behind. I think to have registered 5 losses. I mean, in recent years, Premier League winners don't have more than 3 losses, right? It's like 1 or 2, maybe 3. I don't even know if any team has lost 4. Maybe they have. But to have 5 already, we're in November and they've lost 5 games. It's not happening. I just don't think it's happening for Liverpool. I think as well, Pep Guardiola has made us forget it, but winning the league 2 years in a row is a big deal. And historically, before Pep's reign, it's been really difficult and teams don't manage it. Certainly for a manager who just entered the league, won it, for him to go again, Arne Slot, I think it's too much. I don't think Liverpool are going to do it. Which then brings us to the question of, is it going to be Man City for the umpteenth time in as many years? Or is it going to be Arsenal's year? And I think this is such a tricky question because on one hand, yeah, it's Pep Guardiola, it's Erling Haaland. Like, there's enough with just those two. On the other hand, Arsenal have never looked as strong as they have right now. As strong as they are right now, sorry. They've never looked this good. And there really was kind of a spell for a few weeks, not so long ago, where everyone said, yeah, I think this is it for Arsenal. Like, they're gonna storm this league, they're gonna win it. This one game against Sunderland has kind of startled people and everyone's gone, oh, wow, okay, well, maybe they're gonna bottle it now. And whatever. So I think it's really tough. And if you want my prediction, I'm gonna say, oh, I don't know. I was about to say one and then I was like, no, but it can't be. This is really tough, guys. This is really tough. I'm going to say Arsenal. I was about to say Manchester City. I'm going to say Arsenal. I think Arsenal do it this year. I think I've seen too many losses from Man City in the Premier League. And the teams they're losing to, what was it? Spurs, Aston Villa. Was it Brighton? No, I might be wrong about that. I can't remember the other team. But yeah, I just think they're not at their best, City. And I think when they've won leagues in the past few years, they've been at their best. When they've not been in their best, they've not won the league. So I think that'll be this year, which means, yeah, I think I'm predicting Arsenal. Those are my final thoughts, guys. I'm predicting Arsenal to win the Premier League. It's going to be close. Whatever happens, I think it's going to be really close. They're going to need to start getting some open play goals. It can't just all be about set pieces, obviously. Although maybe it can. Only time will tell. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate the lighting's probably gotten a bit weird, but hopefully you can still see me. Yeah, thanks so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this breakdown of who's going to win the Premier League this year. And yeah, leave your own thoughts in the comments. Who do you think is going to win? Let me know. And yeah, peace and love. Bye, everyone.